Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Please sing alongside. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayam Udhirayet Shunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhrit satam Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. We are reading Canto 1, Chapter 15, Verse 8. Yat sannidhav ahamukhandavamagnayedam Indram cha samaraganam tarasa vijitya Labdha sabhamaya kritadbhuta shilpamaya Digbhyo haranyapatayo balimadvarete Yat sannidhav ahamukhandavamagnayedam Indram cha samaraganam tarasa vijitya Labdha sabhamaya kritadbhuta shilpamaya Digbhyo haranyapatayo balimadvarete Yat sannidhavahamukhandavamagnayedam Indram cha samaraganam tarasa vijitya Labdha sabhamaya kritadbhuta shilpamaya Digbhyo haranyapatayo balimadvarete Word to word. Yat sannidhavahamukhandavamagnayedam Indram cha samaraganam tarasa vijitya Labdha sabhamaya kritadbhuta shilpamaya Digbhyo haranyapatayo balimadvarete. Word to word, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Yat, whose, Sannidhav, being nearby, Aham, myself, U, note of astonishment, Khandavam, the protected forest of Indra, King of heaven. Unto the fire god. Padam, delivered. Indram, Indra. Cha, also. Sa, along with. Amaraganam, the demigods. Tarasa, with all dexterity. Vijitya, having conquered. Labdha, having obtained. Sabha, assembly house. Maya Krita, built by Maya. Adbhuta, very wonderful. Shilpa, art and workmanship. Maya, potency. Digbhaya, from all directions. Aharan, collected. Nripatayaha, all princes. Balim, presentations. Adhvare, brought. Te, your. Translation. Because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Khandav forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from the blazing Khandav forest, and thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of Rajsuya Yagya and paid you tributes. Purport. The demon Maya Danav was an inhabitant of the forest Khandav, and when the Khandav forest was set on fire, he asked protection from Arjuna. Arjuna saved his life, and as a result of this, the demon felt obliged. He reciprocated by building a wonderful assembly house for the Pandavas, which attracted the extraordinary attention of all state princes. They felt the supernatural power of the Pandavas, and thus, without grudge, all of them submitted and paid tributes to the emperor. The demons possess wonderful and supernatural powers to create material wonders, but they are always disturbing elements of the society. The modern demons are the harmful material scientists who create some material wonders for disturbance in the society. For example, the creation of nuclear weapons has caused some panic in human society. Maya was also a materialist like that, and he knew the art of creating such wonderful things. And yet, Lord Krishna wanted to kill him. When he was chased both by the fire and by the wheel of Lord Krishna, he took shelter of such a devotee as Arjuna, who saved him from the wrath of the fire of Lord Sri Krishna. Devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord, and in devotion service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Both the fire and the Lord ceased from chasing the demon as soon as both of them saw the demon was given shelter by such a devotee as Arjuna. This demon, feeling obliged to Arjuna, wanted to do him some service to show his gratefulness. But Arjuna declined to accept anything from him in exchange. Lord Sri Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya for his taking shelter of a devotee, asked him to render service unto King Yudhishthir by building a wonderful assembly house. The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained, and by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. The club of was also a gift of Mayadana. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. In today's class, we will delve a little bit deeper into this pastime that Arjuna is narrating to Yudhishthir Maharaj. We'll get a little bit of context, and then we will look at the two main themes that this and Prabhupada's purport is referring to. So one of the themes is becoming an instrument in Krishna's service. That's Nimitta Matram Bhava Savyasachi, becoming an instrument in his service. And the second one is about the process that the last line says. The process is that by the grace of a devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained, and by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. So we will delve a little bit deeper into how to please Guru from a pastime that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions in the Harmonist magazine. So just for context, so we are in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavatam, and this is titled The Pandavas Retire Timely. So this occurs after Lord Sri Krishna has wrapped up his manifest pastimes, and he has left for his abode. And now the Pandavas, especially Arjuna, is struggling to cope up with the fact that Lord Sri Krishna is no more by their side and in the manifest pastime. And as a result, he is feeling the pangs of separation. And he's come to Maharaj Yudhishthir, who also kind of guessed that this has happened because he saw a lot of bad omens. And Arjuna is informing him that Lord Sri Krishna has left, and he reminisces about all the different pastimes he shared with Lord Sri Krishna. Actually, this is the pastime where Lord Shri Krishna took on the role of Parthasarathi first, because he was the chariot driver for Arjuna when he was fighting Indra. And only by the presence, so the very first sentence of the translation says, because he was near me, it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev. Actually, it is not possible for humans to fight with the devatas because they have higher, much more power. Although Arjuna himself was the son of Indra, we see that just because of the presence of Lord Shri Krishna, he was able to conquer over not just Indra, but Varuna, the Lokpalas, as well as many other devatas. So what actually happens is Subhadra is married to Arjuna. It seems like a very, there are a lot of Indian films where the bridegroom takes the bride away and then secretly marries. And sometimes they refer to Arjuna marrying Subhadra as being one of, if the Shastras were supposed to instruct us, what is Arjuna instructing us? They kind of, point a finger there. So what actually happened is Arjuna wanted to marry Subhadra, and Subhadra had heard about Arjuna's bravery, prowess, and everything that a Kshatriya man could possess. And Krishna knew of this. And Krishna, because he played the role of a matchmaker. So what actually happened was he asked Arjuna to come in the garb of a saint, and with a saintly garb, he visited the assembly, and the king asked him to stay there because it was the Chaturmas period and accept some service. And he wanted Subhadra to serve this saint so that Subhadra gets pious credits and she may get a suitable husband afterwards. So then Mother Subhadra, she comes and serves the saint. Somehow the saint, he doesn't look like a normal saint. He's very powerfully built. He has all the knowledge. He seems like he can wield weapons. And so Subhadra is actually, she grows in affection for the saint. And slowly Arjuna also gets the association of Subhadra, and he also slowly grows his affection towards her. And Lord Balaram, he had set the fact that Duryodhana would marry Subhadra, and then that would be a good alliance with the Kurus and the Shni. So what happened is it was the day of the marriage, and Krishna goes to Subhadra and asks her, so today is the day you're going to be married. So how do you feel? And he was just speaking to Subhadra, and Subhadra was saying, I do not think I want to marry Duryodhana. I want to, my heart has been stolen away by Arjuna, one of the Pandavas, but isn't it too late to change plans now? Then Krishna says, you just follow my lead. And then in the marriage ceremony, it is Arjuna who comes, takes Subhadra in his chariot and runs away. And this actually angers Balram, because Balram did not know that there was this matchmaking process that's happening in the background. And so Balram asks all of the army generals to go and bring Arjuna in front of him, and then Arjuna will be killed now. And the different army generals go and they try to fight Arjuna, but Arjuna single-handedly fights them all off. And then Balram, but just before that, Balram also, as they went, Balram is curious that Krishna never said anything. All of the others were they were angered that the marriage, the sanctity of the marriage was removed because Arjuna kidnapped the bride. And so Balram comes and asks Krishna, why are you silent? And that time Krishna tells that it is because Subhadra did not shout or ask for help, which means she was, she was approving of what had happened. And then he says, it is because Subhadra has also grown in affection, and the saint was actually Arjuna, who was in the garb of the saint, and they both have received permission from their seniors. So Subhadra has received permission from Krishna himself. And Arjuna sent a letter to Yudhishthir, and Yudhishthir gave permission, yes. So when anybody says that this is similar to a Hindi film where the bridegroom takes the bride away, they should know that The elders' permission has been given, it has been sanctioned, and they themselves have created this. So we see in this pastime that it seemed like Krishna was instrumental in Arjuna's wish. So we see that it is the devotee who's supposed to be an instrument in the Lord's service. But here we see that the Lord has taken up a subordinate position, and he himself has been, you could say, an instrument in Arjuna's service in his pastime. And he does that multiple times, even as a Parth Sarathi, as the chariot driver. So we will see what happens next. So next, now the Kurus and the two dynasties have come together as one family. And then Balram, Krishna, and everybody pay visit to the Kurus. And then Krishna stays over for a little bit longer. And Arjuna and Krishna are just talking and strolling by. At that time, there is one very large, still in saintly garbs, a person comes and says, "Know me as Agni. I am fire and I have indigestion." So what has happened is there is a saint called Sveketu. So Sveketu had offered a lot of ghee in the in the Agni Hotra. And as a result, Agni Dev has some indigestion. So he went to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma says that the only way you can cure your indigestion is to have some of the herbs that are grown in the Khandav forest. Because Khandav, as we see in today's purport, belong to Lord Indra. And actually, it was given by Dhritarashtra to the Pandavas, and it was Khandav Prastha. But because Yudhishthir was such a great ruler and Indra favored him, the whole place was transformed into Indraprastha. That was it was called Indraprastha, as though Lord Indra himself would prastha and come and live there. It was as opulent as that. But there were still large areas that were still as forest land, so in Khandav Prastha. And there was one very dangerous spot where some of the Danavs, they had taken the body of animals and they were killing innocent people. So the way the karma works is, if we are humans or if we are some of the higher species, or even in the lower planetary system, we will accrue karma for every activity we perform unless we offer it to the Lord. But that is not the case for animals. Like, you cannot say that the lion killed like a deer, and as a result it would accrue some karma. It is because the animal itself is in a state where it does not accrue karma. It has received that animal birth as a result of its previous karma. So it does not accrue karma for killing another animal, like the lion does not accrue. So what the Danav, you could say demoniac people or demoniac inhabitants did was, they took the body of animals so that they can kill and not accrue karma for it. So that's not good. But and they were also very dangerous. So Arjuna was a little hesitant, like, why would I unnecessarily go and kill, and that too in a dangerous place? So Agni prays, actually, I would have burnt the forest myself. By burning the forest, it means he would consume all of the herbs. So, and what happens is, he said, I cannot do that because Indra's friend Takshak, a snake, lives there. And whenever I try to, eat the forest or consume the forest with my flames, Indra reigns over that spot. So I'm not able to consume it fully. So I am asking you for help. And so Arjuna says, okay, so I can do that, but I would need something from you. I would need a chariot, a suitable chariot. I would need a suitable bow and an inexhaustible quiver of arrows. If you give me the three of these, I can do your bidding. And so Agni Dev says, okay, sure. So he calls some of the Lokpalas. He calls Varuna. Varuna is known as the Devata who presides over the water bodies. So he says, and he's also one of the 5 Lokpalas. So he asks Varuna, there are a lot of treasures deeply buried under the depths of the oceans. So from that, can you please bring the Gandiva bow? And then he says, can you also bring an inexhaustible quiver of arrows that you have among your treasures that are deeply buried under the sea? Then he says, also go to Somadev and bring the chariot. He bring a suitable chariot that Arjuna can take with him. And so what happens is, within a few moments, Varuna brings the chariot, and that's the chariot with the flag of Hanuman on the flagstaff. And then there is the Gandiva bow. When Arjuna sees, it's almost as tall as him. It's that big. And then when he strung the bow, it made such a noise that it exhilarated the Kshatriya blood in him. He felt like, oh yes, this is the weapon I was waiting for. And then he has an inexhaustible quiver of arrows, so he's ready to do the bidding of Agni Dev. And then Krishna says, I will be your charioteer. So this is the first instance where he's Parthasarathi. He's sitting as the chariot driver for Arjuna. And then they say, okay, we are ready. So Arjuna is ready with the quiver of arrows. He says, Agni Dev, you can start your proceedings. So Agni Dev then starts burning. In the sense, he's also consuming the herbs that are present to cure his indigestion. And as he's burning the grass and the herbs, that time Indra is notified. So Indra is notified that your friend Takshak lives there, and you need to protect him. And Indra comes and he starts showering a little rain. He thought it's Agni just trying again. So he showers a little bit of rain. But what happens is Arjuna, he has, you can say, the mystic ability that Dronacharya has given him, that he can shoot a series of arrows. Like if you see when he shot the bird, he didn't just shoot the eye of the bird. He shot an arrow that shot the middle of the arrow and so on. He could even, actually what happened was there was I think a ball that fell into a well, and nobody could jump in to get it. The Pandavas and the Kauravas, everybody, they couldn't get the ball that was deep in the well. So Arjuna shot a series of arrows where the first arrow would be you could say was pricked by the second arrow and so on. And he built a whole rope of arrows, and then he pulled out the ball from inside. So he has the mystic ability to shoot arrows that were, you could say, very sequential, close enough that nothing else could fall through. So he started shooting arrows with such great speed that the arrows formed a kind of umbrella over the flame. And then none of the water could seep in. It got repelled off or flowed down. So you could say, in a sense, when Krishna held up the Govardhan hill, he was protecting all the inhabitants underneath. But now what Arjuna is doing is he has an umbrella that destroys everything underneath. And so what happens is he builds that umbrella with that speed of shooting the arrows that Indra is actually, he is, you could say, flummoxed. He's surprised by what has happened. And then he starts to, you could say, one of his associates is called Samvartak. That's why we call it the Samvartak clouds, which rain very heavy and dangerous rain upon any land. So he calls like the Samvartak clouds to pour much harder, more intense rain so that Arjuna's arrows could be removed from view, and then Takshak could be protected. But then that doesn't work yet. So he calls the other Lokpala. So he calls Varuna. Varuna comes, he has a weapon called Varun Pash. So with the Varun Pash, he tries to protect. And then he calls even Yamaraj. Yamaraj has the huge club. It's extremely large. Like it's almost much bigger than him, the end of the club. He comes with that and tries to, hit the bed of arrow umbrella. But even that doesn't work. And this keeps on going. And then Indra sees that the wife of Takshak and Takshak's son, I think his name is Ashwasen, were there. He saw them. So, and then Arjuna shot an arrow and it sliced through the head of the mother snake, the wife of Takshak. And then that snake is no more. And Ashwasen was still there, and Arjuna was going to shoot another arrow to kill him, and then later Takshak. But when he shot the arrow, Indra blew a gust of wind from the bottom side. So what happens is the arrow misses its mark and Ashwasen escapes. Although it's said that snakes find it most difficult to escape a forest fire because they cannot move fast, but Ashwasen was able to escape. And it said that Ashwasen was actually the arrow that Karna shot to try to kill Arjuna during the war. So that is one time when Krishna protects Arjuna again. That's during the war. But this is the snake that escapes. Ashwasen escapes. And Arjuna is really greatly angered by this, because Ashwasen was also considered to be one of those demons in animal body doing mischievous things. So he wanted Ashwasen also to be dead, but that was not the case. So what he does is he also has the mystic power to blow strong winds. So what he did was he blew stronger winds. So it got them dual benefit. So one benefit was it pushed the clouds of Indra away, And another benefit was it ravaged the fire even more. It fanned the spark even more. So now the fire started blazing even more, and Indra's clouds were moved away. So Indra was surprised that a human could do such a thing. Indra knew that Arjuna is his son, but he wanted to test him, and he got all the Lokpalas also to try to get this done, but that doesn't work, and the process still continues. And that is when a voice is heard that says, Nar and Narayan are here, that is Krishna and Arjuna, and none of you devatas have any shot at winning in this case. So you might as well recede your attack. And the voice also says, actually, Takshak, your friend, is not here, and Ashwasen has already escaped. So there is no need for Indra to continue the reigns at this point. So then Indra agrees to that, and then he stops his. Actually, just before that, I forgot I mentioned that is mentioned here. Mayadana was also part of the forest, Khanda forest. So he is there. He is known as the architect. So Vishwamitra is the architect of the Devatas, and Mayadana is the architect of the uh, lower planetary system. And he's, you could say, very proficient with what he can do. And he is also part, he sees that he is going to die. And he sees Krishna takes the Sudarshan Chakra, and he sees Agni also in front of him. And at that point, he goes and takes shelter of Arjuna. So you can see this is like an analog to what Amrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni did. Right? Although in not the same reasons, but you see Durvasa Muni had to take shelter of Amrish Maharaj to stop the Sudarshan Chakra, right? Similarly, Arjuna, he took the shelter, Mayadana takes the shelter of Arjuna to prevent the Sudarshan Chakra from taking his head off, so to kill him. And then Arjuna protects, and then they recede, as it says in the purport. Sorry, Krishna and Agni, they say, okay, Arjuna is going to protect Mayadana, so we will continue. And then as they were continuing, the voice was heard that you can stop the attack, Nara and Narayan are here, and Takshak was not here. So you don't have to continue the flame. And then Indra recedes, and then they go away, and then the deed is done. Like Agni takes that part of the forest which has the specific herbs he needs. He takes over, and then it becomes like just almost barren land. And at that point, Indra, just before he leaves, he whenever devatas give their darshan, they generally give boons, and that is part of their you could say etiquette. So he comes to Krishna and Arjuna, and he says, I can grant you each one boon because of what has happened, and you could say in a way it's an impasse, but I have accepted that I will leave, so I will give you each a boon. And this really shows what is actually in Krishna's heart. So first, Arjuna says, I want your weapon, he tells Indradev. And Indra says, yes, you are eligible to get my weapon, but now is not the time. When you get the Pashupati Astra from Shiva, Pashupati Astra from Shiva, Lord Shiva, at that time, I will take you to the heavenly abode and I will give you my weapon. So maybe not for now. That's what he tells Arjuna. And Arjuna is happy with that, which means he will get the weapon at some point, which he gets when they are in exile. He goes to the heavenly abode and he gets the weapon from Shiva and Indra. And then he comes to Krishna. So what could he possibly, what boon could he possibly give Krishna? And what could Krishna possibly ask? So Krishna says, I want my friendship with Arjuna to go on forever for this lifetime. And that is what Krishna asks. So Prabhu has quoted multiple times, Sadhavo hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, mad anya tena jananti, naham tebhyo managapi. So that's what Krishna says. Sadhu has me in his heart. I also have sadhu in my heart, whoever are my purest devotees. And I know of nobody else, and they know of nobody else except me. And Krishna shows that even at that point, his friendship with Arjuna is most important. And you could say it's although I may not have narrated it in that sense, but it's a heart-melting thing that of all the things Krishna could have asked for, he asked for friendship with Arjuna. And then we see Mayadana. He is also, you could say, in that category. So he also says, you have saved my life, so I would like to give you something in return. And Prabhupada says here that Arjuna said, I do not need anything. I'm doing my Kshatriya duty. I'm duty bound to do this to protect whoever has taken shelter of me. So it is not an exchange. It is my duty. So I will not accept anything in return. But he insisted. He says, don't accept it as an exchange. Accept it as something that would please me by being of service to you. And then Arjuna returns. He knows that Krishna asked for friendship. So Arjuna says, you please Krishna and that will please me, he says. And then when he goes to Krishna, Krishna says, you please Arjuna, that will please me. So it becomes like an infinite loop in that sense. And then Krishna says, I know what is in my devotee's heart. He wants to please Yudhishthir Maharaj. So you build a suitable palace for Yudhishthir Maharaj, and then then other devotees would attend. So actually what happens is Mayadana builds the palace. It has many illusions. And then we see Duryodhana, he sees a door and he walks through it, but it's actually a wall. And then there's actually a door, but he doesn't know. He slips and falls, and many such illusions that are there in the Mayadana's palace. And it is actually here where Narad Muni comes and tells Yudhishthir that Pandu wanted to perform the Rajsuya sacrifice. So this palace is suitable to host all of the kings. So you must do the Rajsuya sacrifice. And everybody knew of the prowess and strength of the Pandavas and the Kuru dynasty as a whole. So they were willing to be allies. So we see in the last line of the purport, of the translation, where all the princes assembled during the performance of Rajsuya Yagya and paid you tributes. So this is how that happens. And this is also the time when Mayadanav gets the Devadatta, which is the conch shell that Arjuna uses. So here Prabhupada makes it a point to mention the club of Bhimsen was also a gift of Mayadana, but also the conch shell Devadatta that Arjuna received was also from Mayadana, because he also, you could say, he's a kind of a collector. He likes art and he collects unique pieces. So one of them was Devadatta. Now we come to this aspect where it says, the first pastime that I mentioned was when Krishna became an instrument in the devotee service. And the second pastime was where Arjuna was the instrument in Krishna's service. So Krishna wanted Agnidev to take over the forest. And of all the people, Agnidev came to Arjuna to get the deed done. And Krishna was just sitting on the chariot and Arjuna was doing everything. So it says Yasho Labhasva. It says when Nimitta Matram Bhavasavya Sachi, in the verse, it says Yasho Labhasya. To get fame for the devotee, Krishna will likely do everything, but he wants his devotee to get the fame. Even in the war, he showed Arjuna that the minute they touched the hair of Draupadi, their life was completed. You just have to be an instrument in manifesting that reality. That is all Krishna said. They're already dead. Their body has already been slain. You only have to be an instrument in my service and manifest that truth, and that would be the perfection of your life. So it goes to show that Krishna is not just willing to be an instrument in matchmaking or many other things, but Arjuna was also willing to do it. So that's real friendship, where one does selflessly for the other and vice versa. We see in the last part of the purport, it says the process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. And the grace of the devotee is obtained by service. So Prabhupada says I think in a letter where he says, what pleases the Guru? So when we please the Guru is when we would get the grace of the Guru. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary, Sharatavarshini, he says, Satam Kripa Mahat Seva. The first few stages of bhakti. So we have the 9 stages of bhakti, right? So actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur expands it a little bit and gives 14 stages. In that, the first stage is Satam Kripa, receiving the mercy of devotees, and Mahat Seva, serving such a devotee, serving such an advanced devotee. And Mahat Seva is what gets us the mercy of the Lord, because Gaur Govinda Maharaj says in many classes that the Guru has Krishna in his heart, and if you serve the Guru, he will give you that Krishna from his heart. So when we say that the devotees have established deities, like in Vrindavan we have Radha Govind Dev, then we have Radha Damodar by Jiva Goswami. Radha Govind Dev was by Sri Rupa Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami had Radha Raman. There are all of these 6 Goswami temples in Vrindavan, and the understanding is that they perform the Pran Pratishtha for the deities, like how Prabhupada did for Radha Madan Mohan, Rukmini Dwarkadish, and other temples. So the devotee has Krishna in his heart, And when he does the Pran Pratishtha himself, he's infusing that deity with Krishna and begging Krishna to accept the service of all the devotees serving the deities. So it becomes very important to please the Guru, and by pleasing the Guru, the service or the mercy of the Lord is received. And it is said that by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. So that is a nuanced understanding. So Prabhupada says, this is quote, follow the instruction, then you are secure anywhere. It doesn't matter. Just like I told you that I saw my Guru Maharaj not more than 10 days in my life, but I followed his instructions. So following the instructions of the Guru actually pleases Guru. And a deeper understanding of this is Vaishnav Seva, that really pleases Guru. So there's this wonderful article that I read recently from the Harmonist magazine by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where he mentions one pastime of he mentions a pastime of Sri Ramanujacharya and two of his disciples, and he expands upon what Vaishnav Seva means and why that is beyond any cultural rationalism. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur uses very aristocratic English, and it's sometimes very difficult to really understand, open the curtains and understand what he's trying to say. But we will try, or at least I will try to explain it the best I've understood. So one of there are two disciples of Srila Ramanujacharya. It is one devotee's name is Yagyesh, and one devotee's name is Varadacharya. So once Srila Ramanujacharya wants to go on pilgrimage to Shaila from Srirangam. So he sets off with many of his disciples. And on the way, he knows that two of his disciples live there. One is Yagyesh and one is Varadacharya. And Yagyesh is a well-to-do devotee. He knows that it will not be a burden on Yagyesh if they all had a kind of a pit stop in his home. So they come. So he tells two of his disciples to go faster and inform Yagyesh that Guru Maharaj and his disciples, like an entourage of pilgrims, are coming. So please, just to inform them. He's not expecting any service from them. They probably will come there. It's by the river, so they can, get ready, take shower, a small pit stop, and then leave from there. So what happens is the two devotees come to Yagyesh's place, and then they tell Yagyesh that Guru Maharaj is coming with disciples, and Yagyesh is overjoyed. It's very rare for him to get to see Guru Maharaj and serve him, do personal seva, Vapu seva for him. And now that Guru Maharaj is coming to his place, he was even more thrilled. There's actually a devotee there's also actually a disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya. His name is Dasharati. So what Dasharati does is he wants to serve Guru Maharaj by all means. And once Ramanujacharya told him, I want to go on pilgrimage, take my Sri Lakshmi Narayan deities, and actually take all the deities here and deity paraphernalia, and we will go. Just put it in a bag and we will go. All the deities, that's what he said, all the deities. So what Dasharati did was, he took Lakshmi Narayan and put it in there, but he also put the slippers of Ramanujacharya in the same bag. Ramanujacharya was puzzled. What an offense you've committed. You've put my slippers, padukas, along with Lakshmi Narayan in the same bag. And Ramanujacharya was very annoyed, very upset by what has happened. And he asks him, why did you do this? And Dasharati says, your Archa Vigraha is Lakshmi Narayan. My Archa Vigraha are your slippers or your paduka. So you asked me to put Archa Vigraha, both the Vigrahas inside. So that is why I put in. And Ramanujacharya was so pleased by that answer that he considered, actually, he tells, everybody wants to take the dust paduka, but you yourself put your dust on the paduka. How fortunate is that paduka? That is my worshipable deity. That's why I put the paduka along with Lakshmi Narayan in the same bag. And so everybody really wants to serve an acharya like that. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur continues the pastime. So he says, now when they come to Yagyesh's place, the two devotees, they say that Guru Maharaj is coming, and then they don't receive any service. In the sense, not even a glass of water. but they don't say anything. They go back. And then Ramacharya asks asks the two devotees, how did Yagesh treat you all? So he said, nothing, Maharaj. He was very pleased that you are coming, and he immediately got into cooking and getting everything ready for your visit. But Ramacharya asks, did he give you any water? Did he take care of you? Did he serve you? And they said, no, Maharaj, but we didn't ask or expect anything. So this is what happened. Then Ramacharya says, okay, we are not going to Yagesh's place. We are going to Varadacharya's place. He initially did not want to go to Varadacharya's place was because his bank balance was like Sudama's. He was very poor. Generally, there's this notion, like a stereotype, that poor Brahmana, right? He was a poor Brahmana. But he was married to a very chaste lady called Lakshmi Devi. And so the two devotees go there, and then actually Varadacharya is not there. He is actually taking shower, like he's not there at that point of time. I think he was taking shower in the river or something. And only Lakshmi Devi is there, and Lakshmi Devi is very pleased that Gurudev is coming. And then she offers them an asan, offers them water, and says, please take shower in the not shower, but please take bath in the river, and I will make preparations to offer Lord Narayan. And then they were pleased that, okay, they offered me something. And then when Lakshmi Devi enters the kitchen, she sees it's completely empty. Actually, there are no rats also. It said that they were so poor that even the rats had died in their kitchen. Even if there was a rat, there was nothing for the rat to eat, that the rat also died. So then Lakshmi Devi is in a bit of a puzzled state. So she's actually very chaste and also externally very beautiful. So there was, as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur puts it, there was a rascal businessman who tried to win the affection of Lakshmi Devi, but she was so chaste that she always turned him away and said no. So she knew that this rich businessman might be the only way I can serve my Guru. If that means I give up my chastity, I will serve the Vaishnavas and my Guru there. So she goes to him and tells him that he was also surprised. He knew that Lakshmi Devi was the most chaste woman ever. And how is she offering herself to him? He was surprised first. But he was, you could say, in a very lusty. So he said, okay. And he was very excited. So he said, I will give you anything you want. So he gives cartloads full of ghee, paneer, and most opulent ingredients for Lakshmi Devi to prepare whatever offering she needed for Lord Narayan. And then she takes it, makes the offering, prepares it, and then offers it to all the Vaishnavas and Gurudev. And that time, Varadacharya comes into the house. And he's very pleased that Gurudev and all the disciples, his godbrothers, everybody are there. But then he goes to the kitchen and asks, how did this happen? We have nothing. This is empty. This is so opulent. How did they get such prasadam? And then Lakshmi Devi tells him everything. She tells him that, you know, that businessman, he keeps trying to win my affection. I'm so sorry, Patidev. I asked him for some wealth, and I've given myself away to him, and I must go now. And Varadacharya was very surprised by what Lakshmi Devi has said. And then he starts jumping with joy that he has received such a chaste wife who goes above and beyond rational conventionalism to serve the Guru and the Vaishnavas. So he is very pleased and he says, Haribol, Haribol. And then Ramacharya is like, what is this noise? And he comes in and he sees, and they narrate what happened to him. So Ramacharya takes his plate, he gives his Mahaprasadam in a bowl and tells Lakshmi Devi, give this to that businessman. And then Lakshmi Devi goes along with her husband to the businessman's house. And then Varadacharya is, you could say, such a humble gentleman. He stays outside and he tells his wife, you go and give him yourself and give him also this Mahaprasadam. And then when she goes in and she gives the Mahaprasadam to that businessman, and then he keeps it down and he's surprised looking at him, but he's a little excited, mostly by lust. But he accepts the prasadam first. And when he accepts the prasadam, he falls at her feet and said, I would have been burned to ashes if I had laid as much as a finger on your hair for such a chaste woman. This prasadam has really opened my eyes. And he takes shelter of Ramacharya, who was also present there. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says this is a very important um, pastime for the devotees because it's most instructive that conventional rationalism is not what is required, and how the real way to please the guru is by going above and beyond and serving the Vaishnavas. So this is what the harmonist says. In the sense, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, the above story is no exaggeration of the absolute submission to the guru that is insisted upon by Sri Ramanuja as the most essential condition for admission into the spiritual community. Equal reverence is required to be shown to the associates and all the disciples of the Guru. They should all be offered unasked, unconditional, and unlimited service. The only difference being that the Guru and the associates of the Guru are entitled to receive service without rendering it to the disciple. So this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, that serving Guru and Vaishnava should be your only service. So you see, there are two types of bhaktas. There is the um, there is the samartha bhakta and there is the kevala bhakta. So the samartha is eligible bhakta. The eligible bhakta sees that there are 64 angas of bhakti, and I must perform all of these 64 angas of bhakti. But the kevala bhakta sees that there is only one anga of bhakti, that is Guru Seva, and if I do that one anga, all 64 angas are automatically done. So that is the real difference between receiving the mercy and pleasing the Guru versus being, you could say, a mediocre disciple or devotee. That is at least my understanding of what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was saying. That conventional rationalism does not mean you would follow the rules to the T, and as a result not have any spontaneity in your service. Like Prabhupada in 11th canto, Prabhupada's disciples, all of them have commented that the goal is not to remain a Kanishtadhikari or Madhyamadhikari, it is to go to Raganuga platform, to Bhava, and that can only happen through spontaneity, and that cannot be bound by something like rationalism. So with that, I would like to conclude today's class. I hope there was some good takeaways, but I would like to receive some feedback so that I improve in the way I present. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. If there's any reflections, especially corrections, I'm all yours. I live to be corrected. The Prabhu's favorite statement. I would like to embody that same principle. Anybody?
So I liked how you bring so many stories, how Krishna became an instrument in the marriage of Arjuna and with Subhadra, and then Arjuna became an instrument to Lord Krishna in getting the Pandava forest, killing the demons in that forest. Very beautiful pastime. And then, of course, this third story you mentioned about Vardhacharya and Yagnesh. Thank you so much for being so many.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You just, in such a short span of time, I think only an hour, less than an hour. Yeah, less than an hour, in fact, like Prabhu was saying, 3 different stories. And what I like the most is when people get some lesson to take away from each story, because it's nice to hear Lila, we can be absorbed, but if we don't take anything away from it, then it's good to do that also. That still will help you. But if you can channel the actual instruction, that's more pleasing. So I like that you gave with each story some kind of takeaway from that we could, implement in our own lives. So I was very happy.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I have a question for, so how do you define chastity in its truest sense from the story you were to define?
So that's exactly the point that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is trying to make. He's trying to say that if you go by rational chastity, it would mean that so we are only hearing about Lakshmi Devi because of her sacrifice of her chastity. That was her most coveted presence. That's what even the gopis have. Their chastity. They were married to other husbands, but they were willing to give up the very thing that defines them in order to be with Krishna. And Guru is a transparent via medium for Krishna's mercy to flow through. So it goes to show that Lakshmi Devi was willing to give up her most coveted chastity, which means she was removed from society now. In the sense, she was willing to give up her chastity to her husband, to some other rascal businessman, which means she's no longer part of the society anymore. But she was still willing to do that for service of Guru and Vaishnavas only. She had not a tinge of lust at that point.
I think that chastity meant that your will align with the will of Krishna. Is that the same?
Yes. So her will aligned with will of Krishna to please the Guru and God brothers, disciples. It's a little nuanced understanding. So there's the Swakiya ras and the Parakiya ras that the devotees, the acharyas talk about. I would think so. Sorry, bro, if it is
No, no,
incomplete answer, even I'm not, I'm just repeating whatever I've heard. So
How to build the analogy with Andres Maharaj.
okay, we can stop here. No.